Hi again, Doug here from X-Frames FPV, and today I've got another review spec slash build out video for you. This is where we talk about the components that are going to go in a specific frame, and we review that frame. Now this is the Martian 3. Now we've talked on my channel about the Martian 1 and the Martian 2. Martian 2 is basically a upgraded version of the Martian 1. So both of them were designed after the Impulse RC Alien. And the Martian 2 became more accurate and a much better frame. Now this one is all on its own. This is kind of their own design. They've drawn some inspiration from different frames, but this is an X frame. And so my customer from South Carolina sent this to me in a box of parts and said, "Hey, let's build this up." And he wanted to get a good build on it, so that's what we're gonna do. So let's first talk about the frame. We'll go ahead. The frame is built, except top plate is not attached. Pretty straightforward. If you look at it here, other than the bottom plate, it looks very similar to the Martian. And one of the big differences here is it does have a dirty plate here. So we've got the base plate and then the dirty plate. I guess they call that because it gets dirty a lot. Although this will have a lipo on the bottom, so it's not going to be as much of an issue. But they put quite a few cutouts here so that you can put kind of any kind of size strap on there for your lipo, and I do like that. I don't know necessarily that there's a need for this dirty plate because you can do the same thing by using the base plate. So I don't, it's added weight, but it is kind of nice from a stability standpoint. These aren't exactly this isn't the most rigid frame without that, and so that kind of adds some rigidity. I've already started my process. This is what I would consider this an elite build. So I went ahead and rounded off all the edges on the arms and CA glued them, and that makes them a lot stronger, especially when you do the hits that we all do multiple times. So, I think all in all, this is a good frame. My main complaint with this frame was really obvious to me right off the bat, and that is the quality of the carbon fiber. The carbon fiber on this is not nearly as good as the carbon fiber is on the Martian 2. And so I don't know. So the Martian 1 is the carbon fibers is basically this quality. And then the Martian 2, they stepped up and the weave is tighter and just everything about the carbon fiber was better. Well, we're back to the old Martian 1 quality carbon fiber. It's pretty standard for what you're going to see out there in this price point. I think this is a $35 frame. So it's not that it's just terrible. I just would have really liked to have seen it as good as the Martian 2 was. Well, I decided to go ahead and get the arm from a Martian 2 that I have here so that you can see the difference in the carbon fiber. And so here's the Martian 2 arm as opposed to the arm that's on the Martian 3. And you can tell right away. I mean, I didn't even have to have them side by side to tell that there is a pretty drastic difference in the quality of that carbon fiber. So I wish they would have stuck with that, but they didn't. I think I think I said $35, but I think it's more like $28. So maybe they're trying to fit within a real inexpensive price point. Again, my biggest pet peeve, and it's kind of understandable on these cheaper frames, no regulators. I wish they'd just charge us extra and put the regulators on there, but that's just me. For components, we're going to go with my tried and true. These are the DYS. These are the SE2205s. These are, I believe, the 2550, the 2550 KV. And this is the Pro Edition. The only difference between the Pro and the Standard Edition is that the Pro adds these little pads here that you can solder right to. And I do like that. It makes for a cleaner build. As far as receivers, the customer sent this to me, so it is the XSR. And we've talked on my channel also before that I loved this when it first came out, like all of us did, but it didn't take us long to realize, oh goodness, we've got to solder on every time a new antenna on there every time we bend it or break the antenna or it gets severed or whatever. And for that reason, I've kind of went back to the X4Rs because they have a replaceable antenna. So, but still a really good receiver. This is for the antenna for the video. This is the Pyro drone. This is basically a Foxeer 5.8. I think this is a right-hand polarized. For the video transmitter, we went with the Lumineer TX5. This is a 200 milliwatt with race band. Actually, I'm sorry, this is a 600 milliwatt. It threw me off because I normally put 200 on, and this was from the customer. So this is the 600 milliwatt. He's going to have plenty of range with that one. And we talked also about this in a previous video, and this is the Hub OSD from Maytech. And I love this this PDB. I'm sorry, guys, it's Monday morning, right? And so I'm making a lot of mistakes here, but this is a great PDB with built-in OSD, and it gives you exactly what you need. Battery voltage, amp draw. It tells you what after you've finished a pack or after you've shut everything down, it tells you what your lowest cell was for that flight. And so for the price point, I think it's a great PDB. 2 places for 5 volts, 2 places for 12 volts. As far as flight controllers, this is the Lux, and I really like this flight controller. You know, it is kind of a noisy flight controller, and you do have to dampen it quite a bit, in my opinion, to get a really successful smooth flight with it. Now, you can throw it in with just the little dampeners they give you, and it'll work just fine, but I found if I put a pad underneath it, I've got some real good neoprene pads that I put underneath, and then I tighten it down right on top of that, it really isolates this to a degree that it really does make a difference in how smooth and the tune that you can get out of it. But these are great for real low profile builds like this one. And so that one's going in there. And then finally here, these are the XS30s. These are the new, well, they're not super new anymore, but they're from DYS. This is their BL Heli S ESC. I love these things. These are the 30 amp and more than we need on this, but again, on the Elite builds, I put the 30 amp because it's just it just is perceived that if you got the 30 amp, you're not going to have any problems, right? Even though the 20 amps are plenty, but customers like to see the 30s on there, so that's what I do. Now, one thing I want to talk about real quick on these XS 30s are the BL Heli S in general. There are some customers, or not customers because I haven't had any issues with them myself, but there are some people out there that have had some problem with the BL Heli S. Now, I talked in one of my other videos, I had the first BL Heli S I had was the Emax Lightning series at the 35 amp, and those had problems with actually just cycling power midair. That was a problem, right? But there's still people that are having some problems with any of the BL Heli S ESCs, and some of the people they'll do maybe a roll, and it'll give them an extra roll or something like that. I was talking to Serge over at Pyrodrone. He said he had that experience. But one thing that I have found, and it seems to be the case, is the people that are having problems, all of them have done some kind of configuring in BL Heli Suite with these. And I have not. I simply put them in, I install them. I don't do any changes to BL Heli Suite because it just doesn't need it, and I have not had a single problem. And I have them on my own builds, and I've put them on quite a few customer builds. So that's just a heads up. You know, the verdict is still out on that, whether the BL Heli S is going to be something that's going to be problematic and we're going to have to keep an eye on it, or if it's simply a learning curve. Okay, we just leave it alone, don't change anything in BL Heli Suite. And, you know, I know we should be able to do that, but that may be just what we have to do for now, because the tune that you can get with these is far superior to what you can get with just a standard XM30. Now, I'm not saying if you spend, you know, hours and hours and hours tuning an XM30 that you can't get it to be as good as an XS30. Maybe you can, but with the XS30, with this BL Heli S, you tune it, it's super quick, super simple, and I guess as a builder, I'm more sensitive to that, to something that I can tune really easily. So that's really about it, guys. This one went a little long, sorry about that, but just wanted to kind of give you a heads up on what we're doing here with this build. Is this frame worth the money, you know, for the $25, $28? I think so. I'm not so sure, you know. I would not suggest this as one of my Elite frames, obviously, because generally on my Elite builds, when I buy the frame, it is a brand name frame, right, for the Elite series. This would be more of a pilot series. So that's about it, guys. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them in the comment section and subscribe. I just noticed this morning I am up to 100 subscribers after only a month. Thank you so much, guys. I cannot tell you what that means to me and the positive support that I have had so far and going forward. So if you do have a build that you want to do, you can get in touch with me through my email that's shown there, and also my website, xframesfpv.com. And that's also going to give you a place where you can see my builds and get a price and all that. So hope you guys have a great day, and I hope you get some time to fly.